Hello, and welcome into another edition of Tech in 10, the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs football show. From the Ruston Daily Leader, I am sports reporter Matt Belinson, coming to you live from Joe IE Stadium after Louisiana Tech's 27-24 loss to the New Mexico State Aggies. Want to first thank the Northern Louisiana Medical Center for sponsoring Tech in 10 this season. Appreciate them for sponsoring this video series. It's been a lot of fun, despite some disappointing results in the football field for the Bulldogs this year. I'm someone that, typically when I watch, the teams that I am a fan of and am not someone that covers, I tend to get really passionate and blow up, when I feel like things aren't going correctly. And I just feel like at this point, if you've been watching Louisiana Tech this year, I know tonight was a little bit different in terms of the structure. They had a really good first half and then second half execution, just free fall. So certainly that was different. But in the end, it's the same story. It's the same story. Sonny Cumbie, Hank Bachmeier, Miles Hurd, they all said it post-game. This team continues to harp on every single week. I mean, I can't tell you how many times it's said and brought up, whether it's been asked or just said voluntarily. This team has to execute. Point blank. This team is not, despite all the transfer portal talent that this team brought in the offseason, it's clear that they're not in a position where they can just out-talent people. They can't just show up to these games and think that they're just going to win. And that's something that Sonny Cumbie even mentioned post-game, was there's been a lot of times this year where it feels like the Bulldogs walk into a game and it's like, yeah, the first half, second half, there's not really that much of a difference. We'll just show up in the second half and make these plays and we'll just come out with a victory. That's not how this works. I mean, it's not how college football works. And it's just amazing to me that it's the same video, it's the same post game, it's the same story every single week. I mean, just go back through this archive of videos this season. It's the same video after every single game. Plays here and there that come back to bite Louisiana Tech. I mean, you just look back to that first quarter. Even though that passing game with Hank Bachmeier was looking really good, I mean, he started the game 10 for 10 with over 160 yards. I mean, he just came out on fire after, being benched for a couple games. But if you just look back, think about what happened in that first quarter, if you think about it. First drive of the game, Hank, explodes for that, 18-plus yard run. And then you're stuck, and then you fumble near midfield, and then you have to punt it away. And then again, you get down inside the 15-yard line on your second or third drive, then you have to end up kicking a field goal because again, you're called for a chop block penalty. Again, as far as encouraging as it was in the first quarter, you're just sitting there like, man, this team should have 20 points already, just based on how things were going. And again, obviously at the end there, the Smoke Harris play. I asked Sonny Cumbie kind of what his message was to Smoke after the game. After obviously, it seemed like from up here he definitely had enough room to get to the first down. But as I even preambled in my question to Sonny Cumbie was, that's Smoke Harris's game. Is that I know he likes to shake and bake and make defenders miss, but it's just what is your message to him as a coach in that moment to just pick up the first down when it matters most. And I can certainly understand Sonny Cumbie's rationale about how that's just who Smoke Harris is. He's that type of playmaker. He wants to be slippery. He wants to make the extra guy miss. And he, to his credit, like Coach said afterward, he has made some plays this year where he has gotten upfield. That being said, I think it's a little bit different when you're trailing, with under a minute left, and you just need a first down. You would hope that a veteran player like that would just kind of have the sense of mind to just go pick up the first down and just live to fight another down. Unfortunately, he didn't. He tried to make some dance moves, and unfortunately, the refs spotted it, short, and then obviously the final play, it ended up in an incomplete pass. So again, it's just amazing to me that it's just the same story every single week. And I think Sonny Cumbie's a nice guy. I think he's always been respectful to the media. It seems like the players, from every interaction that I've seen publicly, it seems like they like playing for him. But it's clear just from an X's and O standpoint and from a record standpoint, they just can't win close games. And at some point, I understand players have to execute, but at what point does the coaching staff just have to take onus and say, we just cannot put these guys in position to succeed? It's clear that they can do it for a quarter, they can do it for a couple drives, but for whatever reason, they just can't come together for 4 quarters. Now, again, I thought New Mexico State came out the second half, adjusted pretty well. I thought they really started to kind of dial up, a lot better just designs to the edge, because I feel like in that first half, just Lord Boateng, a lot of other linebackers and some safeties were coming down and they were taking care of the RPO read option game for New Mexico State. And then the second half, I just felt like every single time Diego Pavia took the ball, I felt like there were 5 guys chasing him, and then there goes Star Thomas for a 10-15 yard gain. So again, I think at some point it has to be on the coaches to recognize that second half adjustments exist. You have to put these guys in position to succeed for an entire game. And again, I know that some of that has to do with players executing the plays that are given to them. Obviously Cyrus Allen, I'm sure, would like to have that catch back there at the end. I mean, it's right in his hands. I can't believe he didn't come down with it. And even Hank, obviously, on the 2 costly turnovers there. I mean, obviously the strip sack. Carson Bruno wasn't exactly his best pass protection. Kind of let the guy run free with his arms open the entire time. And then Hank, obviously, in one of those final possessions there, they brought in over a Mike linebacker, and it was just a free rusher. And again, even Hank admitted afterward, he probably could have checked maybe at the line and maybe seen it. But again, I think as an offense and as an offensive coordinator like Sonny Cumbie, at some point, you just have to take responsibility and say this air raid offense that you were brought in here to do is just not working. And it's not working because players are not executing and you're not putting them in position to succeed. Again, I hate to be the bad guy, but you're 3-6. And over the last, you're in position to go for your 3rd straight losing season in a row. I mean, at some point, it's on the coaching staff that they're not being able to execute and deliver a message to players that are able to, get the job done. And that's unfortunate, because I think when you looked at the year, coming into this season with Conference USA, getting weaker at the top, you felt like Louisiana Tech had a shot at competing. Certainly in the preseason when I made my predictions, I predicted this team to go 7-5, and thought they would be kind of middle of the pack in Conference USA, potentially contenders. And I just didn't see this coming. I thought Louisiana Tech would figure out its issues when it comes to turnovers. Thought it would figure out its issues when it comes to third down defense. My goodness, I mean, New Mexico State, I think they were 10 of 12 between third and fourth down in the second half. You just can't win like that. I mean, that's just inexcusable. But again, it's not surprising when you've watched this team for 9 weeks now. And it's the same story every single week. Again, I know it was kind of in a reverse order this week with the first half actually doing pretty well. In the second half, you just lay an egg and you just let New Mexico State hang around, and they eventually take the game away from you. So it's just truly amazing. And I think you could even see it in Sonny Cumbie's face and Hank Bachmeier's face post-game. They're dejected. They really just can't believe that they're in this position again. And all the questions were brought up to them of like, it seems like it's the same story every single week with you guys. And Hank just, he just looked in disbelief, like, yeah, we all know, like we just can't figure it out. And I think that's the most disappointing thing, is that a second year with this staff, they brought in the transfers that they want. Another year of continuity in this offense and defense for the players that were returning, and even the coaching staff to kind of mesh together for another year. On-field results, what do you have to show for it? And unfortunately, coming into tonight, your bowl game chances were slim at best. I mean, I know mathematically they're not eliminated from a bowl game. They would have to win their next 3 games in a row. But when you're staring down undefeated Liberty, and then you obviously have winless Sam Houston, and then you got Jacksonville State, who has 6 wins already this year. So it certainly seems like the bowl game hopes are pretty much over for this team. And again, it's so disappointing that they continue to not be able to get out of their own way and not execute. It's just amazing that this team continues to punish itself when it seems like things are going so right. I was ready to write the Hank Bachmeier, offensive, redemption story, based on that first half was going. And then everything just falls apart, and they can't execute for 4 quarters. Again, it's maddening to me that through 9 weeks and almost 2 years of a coaching staff, it's the same message every single time. I just can't figure it out. So, again, Louisiana Tech falls 27-24 to the New Mexico State Aggies, and then the Bulldogs. They're gonna have to go on the road and try their best against 8-0 Liberty, who in all likelihood is the Conference USA favorite at this point, and is living up to the preseason billing. I mean, they've got a really good defense, and so I would imagine it's going to be pretty tough sledding for Louisiana Tech in that one. It honestly could be. I'm not going to say it's as big of a blowout, but I just get the vibe that after tonight and the way that Liberty's playing, it could be similar to that UTSA game last year. Again, maybe not in terms of the margin of score, but I think just how things get out of hand quickly and the score just kind of just gets away from them. So, but we'll see. 3 games left in the season. I've heard from a lot of Bulldog fans already that this year already turned them apathetic. But I think after tonight, tonight was the final straw for some people. And I think that's a dangerous spot to be in if you're a program, that the fact that your fan base is not only angry, but a majority of them are just apathetic and they don't really care, that you win or lose. They're not even paying attention to you anymore because you've just, you've beaten it out of them so much. So I think that's a dangerous spot to be in. Louisiana Tech has 3 games left to show some sort of fight, to potentially make a bowl game. Again, it would take quite a lot for them to, make a bowl game at this point. I mean, they would have to do, some pretty extraordinary things, but I suppose mathematically it's not impossible, but just from the energy and the way that they're playing over these, last few weeks, I would say that that's pretty unlikely. So, again, Louisiana Tech falls 27-24 to New Mexico State. They are on the road at Liberty next week. For the Rest of the Day Leader, I am sports reporter Matt Belinson. Thank you all for listening. Have a good one.